welcome to the 14th episode of skirt pattern making with the Bunka method. Today we are starting a new mini series all about pleated skirts. In episode 14 to 17, we'll go through all the pleated skirt styles from the introduction in the same order we reviewed earlier. As you saw in the pleated skirt slide, there are 4 types: inverted pleat, box pleat, one-way pleat, and umbrella pleat or accordion pleated skirt. We'll already made the inverted pleat skirt in episode 5, the yoked skirt, and I can include the link to the tutorial in description in case you would like to rewatch it. So we'll make accordion pleated skirt today and box pleat and one-way pleated skirt in the next episode. There was one more skirt called the soft pleated skirt, which was classified as a skirt made of rectangle pieces of pattern. I'm going to cover that in episode 17. For this episode, we are starting with the accordion pleated skirt. Pattern making method for this skirt is not included in the book, and I think the reason might be that you don't need to develop new pattern for it. You can use full circle skirt or semicircular skirt as your basic pattern. The pleats you see in the skirt are just permanent fold lines. It's very easy to make them in cloth, and that is why I thought it would be great to have it in this series. For the basic pattern, I'm using a 3/4 circular skirt, which we covered in episode 7. Okay, so let's start pattern making, and we can create our circular skirt here because it's very easy to make. As you see in the diagram, we just need the waist measurement and the length of our skirt. For the length of a skirt, I have chosen 80 centimeters, and for the waist measurement, we can measure it from our avatar, on the regular waistline, and just don't forget to add 1 centimeter for the ease. I divide this by 4.71. Formula is mentioned in the diagram. This will give you the radius of your smaller circle. Just write it down. Then you need to add the skirt length to this amount. In my case 80 centimeters, and I get 96.6, which will be the radius of my big circle. I start with the big circle, and with the ellipsis tool I find in the right column, I draw the circle. Make sure you point the number in the radius section, not the diameter. Okay, I created my big circle. I just want to add the white fabric to it because it's easier to see first. Then with the internal circle tool or R, I draw the smaller circle with the radius of 16.6, and then I select it and right click, convert it to a hole, and then I draw the internal line as per our diagram for center back lines. And then I cut those lines and delete the quarter of a circle to have our final pattern. Now I'm just marking the center back lines, and I also want to add 2 side seams for this circle. I don't want to have it as a big piece of pattern like this. So in order to find out the side seam position, first I convert the extra points to curve points, and then I divide the upper line and lower line of a skirt to 4 equal parts with the split tool. Then I draw some internal lines to connect those points together. So as you see, the center line is our center front line, and the 2 other lines are side seam. One of them is right side seam and one of them is left side seam. I can cut the side seam and then join the 2 center back seam together with the merge tool, and I trace our center back line back to internal line because I wanna use that for adjusting my grain line. Okay, for adjusting the grain line with the edit texture tool, just pick the grain line, right click, and make it parallel with the center front and center back line for each of the pattern pieces. Now for the waistband, you just mark the height as 3 cm, and for the width use the waist measurement plus 1 cm ease, which is 78.4. And for marking center, front and side marks, I can use the same logic, just split the lower part of waistband to 4 equal parts and make notches for your center front, center back and side seam. Okay, now we can start arranging pieces around avatar and sew. First thing you put around the avatar can be waistband. I use the arrangement point to put the waistband on the correct position and then sew the end parts together and simulate. Just make sure you are putting your waistband a little bit lower so that it won't collide like this. I also want to move my side seam on the waistband to the side like our pattern pieces. Right now closure was at center back. I'll move it to the side, right side of the avatar, and I just put notch on my center back. For now I freeze my waistband because it helps me have it in the same position when I'm adding my front and back panels. They are pretty big and they might pull the waistband down. For this kind of a skirt, it's better to use the gizmo tool for positioning the pattern pieces in the right position because they are very big, and if you want to use the arrangement points, they might collide into avatar. So I'm just using the gizmo tool to put the front panel in right position. Then I sew the waistline and simulate. I'll do the same for the back and sew the waistline. Last thing you want to sew is the side seam on your skirts. And I had changed the position of avatar because the arms didn't let me to do the good job of simulation. Now when you unfreeze the waistband, you see it's falling down. That's firstly because your waistband upper edge is not elasticated. You always need to put elastic on upper edge of your waistline. So that's why I'm picking the upper edge of waistband, and in the property editor I check the elastic and use the 100% as the ratio. So this will help our waistband not to fall down. Also make sure you change the particle distance of waistband to 5 because it's a smaller piece. And also use the bond and fusing for your waistband to make it more stable. To see the fit of this skirt more accurately, I wanna apply the actual fabric now, and I have chosen woven taffeta. And the reason is that this fabric contains polyester, which helps holding the pleat shapes and resists falling out over time. So you can see in the property editor the content of this fabric in the composition part. And when I apply the actual fabric, the overall fit is pretty good and better than the available fabric we had chosen before. And if you want to see the fit even more accurately, you can reduce the particle distance to 5, but it will slow down your simulation, just know that. And for now I'm choosing 10 as particle distance for faster simulation. Now I'm just quickly checking the fit of our skirt. I think it's a little bit loose at waist, so I'm reducing ½ centimeter from our waistband, 0.25 from each side. So this will help improving the waist. And if you actually use elastic in your waistband, you can reduce the waist measurement and have a small gatherings on top of your skirt panels. Okay, at this stage I wanna add pleats to my skirt, and when I look at my image, which was my inspiration for creating this skirt, I see that the pleat width is roughly 2 centimeters. And to calculate how many pleat lines I actually need for this, first I measure the bottom edge of my skirt. It is 227.4 centimeters. I divide this number by 2.5, which is my pleat width. I get the number 90.9. I'll round it up to 91. Now for creating the internal lines, just pick the side seams by edit pattern tool holding shift, then right click and distribute lines between the segments and put the number 91. And while you have selected these lines, open property editor and check the fold rendering on. This will give you the crisp fold lines. Then choose the pleat tool, left click on the outside of the pattern, then go through pattern to make sure you are selecting all internal lines. Then after you are finished, double click and you see the box will appear with options for the pleats, and you can choose the accordion pleat option. You can do the same process for the back. And that's all you have to do for creating the accordion pleat. Now if you press simulate on 3D window, you can see the pleats are created. Okay, our pattern making for this skirt is done. She can wear it with a crop top with polka dot prints. I hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and see you next Saturday for more skirt tutorials.